Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We're here to talk about how to replace your recruitment tech fast. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's get started. With an acknowledgement of country, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today around Australia and their elders past and present. We acknowledge the ongoing connection that Aboriginal people have to this land and recognise Aboriginal people as the original custodians of this land. So let's kick off with meeting our panel that you can see with us. First up, we have the amazing Daniela Moratea, who's our Implementation Director here at LiveHire. Hi, Daniela.
Hi, everyone.
And then, of course, we have Micah Van Dyke, who's our Senior Solutions Consultant. Hi, Micah.
Hey, everyone.
And, of course, all of our webinar regulars will be familiar with Andy Whitehead, our Senior Business Development Director here at LiveHire. Hi, Andy.
Good to see you.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today when we know you're super busy. We're just going to start off with a quick bit of housekeeping, and then I'm going to pass you over to Andy. So first up, I want to talk to you about our next event where we have Barbara Bruno talking about strategic interviewing techniques. Look out for in your inbox for that one on August the 8th. Invitations will be going out early next week, but you can pre-register either via our LinkedIn page or our website also. It's already set up, so that will be amazing. Now, of course, our ideas for content and webinars come from our survey that we do at the end of each webinar, where we ask you to rate the session if you have any ideas for speakers or content, and we take that information and turn it into events. So it's a great way for you to have input on what we're doing, and we love to receive that. And lastly, I want to talk to you about the video recording. Everyone will receive a copy of that today or later today. That will have the video recording and, of course, a copy of the slide deck. Lastly, questions. Please feel free to ask questions right throughout the session. Your screen should look a little bit like this, and hopefully down the bottom there, you've got a Q&A option. If you just click on that one and send us through your questions, that makes it easier for me to manage them through that Q&A option. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Andy, this is our agenda for today. We're almost done with housekeeping. I'm going to pass over to Andy in a moment, who's just going to give you a brief overview of the technology landscape today. He's going to pass over to Micah, who's going to talk to you about solution design. Then she'll pass over to Daniela, who's going to talk to you about those fast implementations that you're here to hear about. And then finally, we've got 15 minutes at the end for live Q&A. So as I said, feel free to ask your questions as we go through and as you think of them, or keep them to the end, whatever works best for you. So that's it from me. Happy to pass over to you now, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for that introduction. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I think a couple of questions I want to answer in my little section here. Why are we here today? And where does LiveHire fit in the HR technology landscape? Now, I'll start with the first one. Why are we here today? We are in a pretty uncertain market. We saw the start of 2023, lots of talent acquisition people not being in work. We saw uncertainty in terms of whether we would be hiring or not. But then when we look at the latest quarterly kind of surveys that have come out, so Jobs and Skills Australia, Recruitment Experiences and Outlook survey in May saw 67% of people rate the difficulty of recruitment is quite high. So it's the highest level since November 2022. Permanent salaries increasing, up 10% to 11% for contracts. That's from Fraser Jones in January to March 2023. A big focus for C-suite leaders and human capital leaders on generating business value. 77% of those people surveyed saying it was important to them to focus on those things. And 76% of C-suite leaders and human capital leaders placing more emphasis on skilling and career engagement. So the priorities are kind of really focused on who do we have internally, how do we get the most out of those people to add value to our business, and how do we reduce costs overall. In the technology market where LiveHire plays, we've seen some real uncertainty as well, with big companies like Microsoft and Apple laying off tons of people. We're seeing cost cutting and consolidation across the market. And actually, that was one of the big reasons for the trigger of this event today. One of our competitors, partners, a bit of both, is Fit to Work, but anyway, they own. Help me out here, Micah. What? Mercury Recruit. Thank you. There we go. Mercury Recruit, which is owned by Equifax. So Equifax being a large global player, doing some cost-cutting exercises and deciding to sunset one of the products that they offer to the market. What's happened since then is a big work tech rebound as well. Venture capital in the space is actually on track to surpass 2019 and 2020, which were the banner years for venture capital investment in this kind of technology market, HR technology market. So where does LiveHire fit in the broader technology market? Well, I've copied or taken some concepts from TQ Solutions, who operates quite heavily in this market. So if you want the original research, Al actually shared it on one of our previous webinars that he joined us on. And I've just adapted some of his research where TQ Solutions talks about 3 different layers of HR technology. So a data and compliance layer, where we see things like job creation approval, recruitment management, but also human resources information elements like employee self-service, payroll and leave, and contract and compliance as well, payroll, etc. We've got the experience, skills, and intelligence layer, which covers things like candidate relationship management, recruitment process automation, recruitment and talent analytics, and then, of course, that enabling tool layer. So additional things that help with the talent acquisition and HR process to be more efficient and effective. So that's things like background checks or reference checks, AI talent sourcing, etc. There's a bit of a legend at the bottom here, but basically LiveHire covers all 3 of those layers in some way, shape or form. The blue things, what we do is as standard functionality in our platform. Anything in green is an option, but to use either LiveHire or another system. So for example, with job creation and approval, we have a really strong integration with SAP SuccessFactors in the HRS space, where a lot of our clients will actually create their jobs there. But alternatively, we have plenty of clients that use LiveHire itself for job creation and approval as well. And then there's quite a bit of orange in this page. That's where we have LiveHire integrated partners that offer those solutions. So an example of those would be like Referoo in the reference checking solution provider category. Any other questions of these we can take at the end, but we'll dive into a whole marketplace of solutions. What does this look like with our client base? So John Bowker is one of our favourites, general manager of people over at Lycopodium. Recently doing a big post on LinkedIn where he launched his latest platform, but they've got a great tech stack over there. He's got SAP SuccessFactors as his HR information system. He then uses LiveHire at the front end of that for applicant tracking and candidate relationship management. Adds in additional tools throughout the process. So Harva for reference checking, Good Habits integrated with SuccessFactors for learning experience. So a range of different tools that each play a different role in that employee or candidate experience journey. And he's taken a really best-in-breed approach to the way that he combines that technology together to create a great experience for all. Circa, I'm not going to talk through all the words on this page, but they saw some incredible cost savings with LiveHire. Couple of things to highlight in terms of how their tech stack looks. Obviously, LiveHire being the core recruitment platform for Circa, which does a lot of recruitment in the healthcare and facilities management and government services type spaces. They have a content management career site, content management system called Shazami, which powers microsites on their career site, so that for those different role types that they're recruiting for, they're able to create a really unique experience for those candidates that are coming across them natively through Google or through their careers website. At the back end, Serco uses SAP SuccessFactors as their HR information system. So we pass details of the hired candidates and bring jobs in from SuccessFactors to make a nice seamless integration. Telstra Health, another one to touch on. Again, I'm not going to talk through the data on this page, but we can, if anyone has questions on those, I'm more than happy to bring that to life for you. But just to talk through their tech stack, LiveHire obviously powering recruitment at Telstra Health and candidate relationship management. They do quite a lot of talent pooling and proactive recruitment of talent that's coming through there. They also use HireView for video interviewing, and they have an AI-powered interview scheduling tool called Evie that they use to book interviews. Telstra parent company uses Workday as its HRIS, and so hired candidate data goes across into Workday with Telstra Health. Now, last thing for me, it's all great listening to myself, but I want to show you somebody else. This is one of our clients. We did an interview earlier this week with one of our healthcare clients, just to share their story a little bit with you. How long did implementation take?
Nothing's really ever implemented fully, is it? But what would you say you had it up and running in 3 months? As far as, we're talking about the training of the managers, because that took a while as well. You had to go around.
Yeah, I actually think I had it up in 1.5 months.
Yeah.
From the day I started.
You made a comment there, Kevin, that, and I very much agree, nothing's ever fully implemented, right? Like there's always going to be change and adoption. What's next? Like, what are you thinking about in terms of evolution of recruitment now, Karen, maybe for you? And how have you found working with LiveHire when you do have things that need to change or need to adapt?
The next step is implementing other programs that connect with LiveHire. So, we're looking at implementing another program that will implement with LiveHire, and then move from LiveHire straight to this other program. So we're not having to really go out of LiveHire. It's straight from LiveHire, click of the button, move straight to another program to create these contracts, and then the data from LiveHire then be transferred into this program.
How have you found working with us?
No, amazing. And I'm not even over exaggerating that. Like I said before, Sam has been so quick with his responses, and even on LiveHire there's an option, it's a help option, and but in LiveHire, if I hit that help button and I ask a question or I ask to fix something, someone gets back to me within a couple of hours and it's fixed every single time. So yeah, it's been amazing. The support with LiveHire, it's been great.
Well, I just saw myself on that one. It's never nice to do so, but hopefully that brought to life that when you are building a tech stack, while it's good to know broadly what you want to do, and this is where Michael will step in and talk about solution design, it is okay to evolve and change that technology stack as you continue working with us. Thanks, Micah.
Thank you. Let me start sharing screen. And we'll start to talk a bit about, where LiveHire really fits in the picture. As you may have heard from Andy and even from my clients before, it can be ever evolving, right? LiveHire will really be at the core of your recruitment process, become your ATS that sits in the middle. And then within there, from LiveHire, you can connect, to other job boards, to assessments, to video interviewing providers, onboarding providers, background reference checks. Anything is possible. It really becomes plug and play, but LiveHire will be providing that candidate and recruiter experience, and can also provide the hiring manager experience. When we start to have the conversations around solution designing, one of the things that we always try to find out is what are some of the current challenges you have with technology today? Is it that there's no integrations? Is that some systems may not be as responsive or quick for you to help you to get the candidates through the process? Really try to understand that problem. And from there, that's where the design really starts, that we go okay, how can LiveHire help you with this? What can it do? What could it look like? What could the process be like once you adopt LiveHire? And what are some of those benefits you can see when you've adopted LiveHire and you're up and running? And as you heard in the little clip before, we can run that implementation quite quickly for you to be up and running. And Daniela will cover more on that in a minute. But really where LiveHire sits is that middle place, that core source of truth for all candidate data. And if your candidates come from, your different job boards, your Seek, your Indeed, any other job board, your own careers page, recruitment agencies, or your referrals, all of them come into LiveHire, and that's then where you start working in the ATS with your talents. Now, let me hop over to the actual ATS itself, which we're looking at here right now. I'm logged in as Peter. Peter here has access to the entire organization. He could see what's happening in terms of recruitment across the organization. However, let's just focus on the roles he's responsible for. Worth calling out as well is that, if you have your hiring managers on platform, you can absolutely limit the access that they have. They probably don't need to see the jobs that their, peers or other parts of the business are recruiting for. So we can ring fence it that they don't have access to that. And that's part, again, of that solution designing that we will work with you on, trying to understand who are going to be the different users of the platform, what access should they have, and how can we best configure the system for you to get the best outcomes for those different stakeholders using the platform. What we can see here, Peter, is, the jobs that are open. He's got 8 open jobs, a couple of jobs on hold, but where it, of course, all really starts is a job needs to be created first. As Andy mentioned before, jobs can be created in different systems. We have APIs to pull them into LiveHire. So in that case, the jobs would be created in another system. For example, SAP SuccessFactors, they're approved in SuccessFactors, and then via the API, they come into LiveHire, where then the recruiter kickstarts the process. So the hiring manager doesn't necessarily touch LiveHire. The jobs can also be raised here in LiveHire. Hiring managers can have the option to start the process here, or HR or recruitment or whoever raises the role. Job templates can be set up to create efficiency. So the person creating the job doesn't always need to, start from scratch. And again, that's where we work with you, understand what are some of those frequently recruited roles, show you how you create those job templates to create some of those efficiencies. From a, overview, again, being Peter the recruiter here, I can see that a couple of my hiring managers are drafting jobs, so I have an idea what's coming through the pipeline. I can see that jobs have been out for approval, that in this case, Zach still needs to approve. We can see here that the job has also been declined, so it gives you that full visibility on where it's at. And once the job has been approved, you get notified via email to let you know that the job is ready. And then, of course, as a recruiter, you come in to start the recruitment process, pick up the phone and, understand what exactly it is that the manager is recruiting for. Now, I'll just jump into a job that I've created before and approved already. What we're looking at here is the job card, and this is where that solutioning comes in again, that we try to understand what does your current, form look like, or whether it's paper-based or system-based, when you ask your hiring managers to provide details on the job that they are recruiting for. We then also try to understand what's the recruitment process, because maybe for your healthcare professionals or allied health, you might have a different recruitment process than for people that work more in a back office or support corporate type of positions. So we can set up multiple recruitment processes, and then depending on when the job is raised, the different options can be selected. And those recruitment processes really determine the steps throughout the recruitment process. If you think about application received, screening, shortlist, credentialing, anything like that can be configured to match your process. Standard information goes in here, of course, reason for vacancy. If you work with business units, all that information can be added. If the job is raised outside LiveHire, the scenario we spoke about before, all the information comes into LiveHire, and the other system, for example, is SuccessFactors, SAP SuccessFactors, would still be the source of truth, and it's just here for recruitment purposes. Unique to LiveHire is something what is called specialties. When candidates apply for a job or create a profile, as we call it, a talent profile, we ask them to share their specialties as part of that process. And specialties really you could think of as like your hashtags if you want your photo to stand out on Instagram. So it's the chance for candidates to be like, okay, I'm a nurse. What are some of my specialties? Things that make me stand out. And you have the same opportunity here, Peter in this case, who's raising the job, to say, you know what, for our specialties, these are the things that we want to look at. Candidates actually that have experience working in aged care as a nurse or in the community health or whatever those would be. And then, of course, some information about the work days per week, etc. Any custom fields in terms of, anything unique to your organization can be set up. So we match, again, your current or similar to your current job forms, but of course, an improved experience. Additional information about the job description. So what is it that you're looking for? This also would be posted on external pages. Application process. So in this instance, we've selected that if people apply for this role that don't have work rights, automatically they get disqualified. You create efficiencies for your recruitment team, not having to screen candidates that are unsuccessful based on their work rights, but the candidates still have a very positive experience. And we can also include application questions if there's a couple of questions that you just want to tick off to make sure that the candidate has. And then lastly, as we mentioned before, we've got lots of integration. So for each job, you can decide what integration to toggle on or toggle off. In this case, the one for the check has been enabled. So could be part of the background check with CV checks and an XREF reference check, that when the candidates reach that stage, all of that is enabled from LiveHire. You don't have to leave the platform. And again, that's where that solutioning comes in. Let's understand your current tech stack. Let's look at what you're using today or what you're hoping to use in the future, and let's build LiveHire around it. Now, once a job has been opened, what's unique to LiveHire is that you don't immediately have to go out and advertise the position. As you can see here, there's 25 suggestions. So what those suggestions are candidates that maybe have applied in the past for a different position. Maybe we refer to the organization. Maybe you've contracted or worked with you in the past. Any candidates that are part of your talent community, or as we call it, your database, that they're in your ATS already. The system will look at those and start suggesting those candidates based on some of the criteria we've entered before. So from here, we can easily look at Beatrice's profile, can see that she's applied for different positions in the past. We can see those specialties she's associated with her own profile, any activity that's happened with her. So across the organization, you could see in this case that Liron has just interacted with her and find out about that information. So you know what to ask a candidate or not to ask a candidate based on the previous information. But again, this can all be ring-fenced as well, that if you don't want hiring managers, for example, to follow all those conversations, that can be hidden for them. All communication on platform automatically goes via two-way SMS. So we could go here and just quickly send Beatrice a text message asking her, to meet up for coffee. When she responds, that response comes back straight into the platform as well. And that really gives us an easy way to interact with your candidates. You can invite candidates directly to a job as well. So again, without having to go to a job board, automatically you can invite them. And we actually see a very good response rate that if you invite 3 candidates to apply for a job, 1 out of 3 will actually accept that invitation. I've now just gone over and look at some of our active candidates that are in the process already. And you can see that they're at different stages of the process. We can see here, that Juno has applied for 71 jobs with us before. She's also worked with us in the past. She's an alumni. Barack Obama here was actually referred to us last month or in May, 2 months ago by Joe Block. So all the information is very visible. You can still advertise the position, of course, go to your public careers page. We integrate directly with Indeed, with LinkedIn, with Seek. So all the jobs can be posted there. And again, all the applicants come back and we will work with you to understand, what are those job boards that you need access to. If need be, we can always work with you to set up your Broadbean account as well for additional access to different platforms. What we try to understand, as I mentioned before, is what are those unique steps in your recruitment process that will help you to get the candidates to the process, but also from a reporting perspective that you're able to understand, when we send someone for checks and assessment and they are at that step, how long does it actually take to get them through the process and what is potentially a bottleneck in our process, and the analytics will be able to provide you with all that information. Any action on candidates can be done in bulk. So we can go here, bulk message candidates, we can change their status, we can invite them to interviews. So everything can be done individually and in bulk, making your process efficient and quick as well. Before I jump over to analytics, I'll just quickly talk about talent pools. If you think about your talent community, it's really around all the people that are joining your organization, your ATS, your database. But of course, not all of them may be suitable for your organization. So your talent pools really help you to build out pipelines of talent for roles or candidates that you know you'll need to recruit for in the future. And as you can see here, you know, in this case, we're saying that we need 2,500 candidates to be able to work in hospitality roles in aged care, and we only have one candidate at the moment. So we know we actually need to go out, build a recruitment campaign to drive candidates to come and join that talent community. And similar as we've seen before with the jobs is when you build your talent pool, the system will do that first round of screening for you, starting to suggest the candidates. And then from there, you can start screening the candidates, reach out to them, build out a campaign, build out message templates to stay in touch with them. And in the analytics, you will be able to see how responsive candidates are when you are trying to communicate with them. As part of the, I guess, process that we will work through with you and you know, during the initial conversations, but also definitely with Daniela during implementation, is trying to understand what are your unique reporting requirements. All clients have access to our analytics module, and within there you can see that there's a lot of tabs with information available at your fingertips, but sometimes you have a specific requirement so we can set up downloadable reports. And as part of the training provided, we will also run training sessions with you on analytics so you can get the best out of the platform. I'll just quickly highlight a few data points in here that are relevant for most organizations. For example, in our Hiring Insights tab, we're currently looking at data in a demo account between or all of last year and this year. And what we can see is that we are just shy of 1,600 applications. We shortlisted just over 600 candidates. We've made 70 hires, and on average, it takes us 23 days to hire someone. To be able to hire someone, we need 23 applications per hire. And out of the hires that we've made, 45 actually come from our talent community. So again, those are the people that are already in your database. The colors here are benchmarks. So it talks to you about, you know, we only fill 7% of the roles in time in our demo account. In here, it tells you what the best practice is across the LiveHire clients. So you can kind of see where you have an opportunity to improve as well. Source of hire, so where do your candidates come from? Gender of hire insights. You can look at your recruitment funnel. If this would be real, of course, it'd probably be quite concerned if you look at the funnel conversion here, that out of those people that you offer, only 28% actually take up the offer and accept the offer. So that could be, you know, a point of, I guess, discussion to see what's going on at that process. Maybe it's too lengthy. Maybe you need to look at digitalizing that onboarding experience. And LiveHire has actually just rolled out its own onboarding platform as well. So you can digitalize and improve that journey and experience to reduce that dropout of candidates at that last stage of the process. Additional information, and the last one I'll show is just around demographics. So you've got all those people in your database. It's fantastic, of course, but who are those people? Do they have the right skills? Do we need to reach out to people? Do we need to build a recruitment campaign to attract people to, for example, be able to fill the positions that are coming up? And what we can see here in a demo account that, you know, we've got, let's say 1,200 candidates. It talks a bit again about diversity information up here, average of 14 years experience, and they're, you know, a quarter of them are willing to relocate. LiveHire also understands it can host your internal workforce. So in our instance, you know, 17% of the people are internal. And as you can see, it's all dynamic. So if I were to click on this 17%, all the data up here would change to just reflect the information on our internal workforce. Lastly, just to break down, you can actually see at it by suburb or street level almost where your people live. So if you know you're opening a new location, or you need to you know, let's say run a big campaign to drive people to come and work in you know, your Dubbo location, you only have 6 candidates there at the moment. That might be your sign that you build out that campaign, leverage the benefits of LiveHire. And again, that's where we can come in and help and support you with that. Even post go live, you still have your account manager for that part. I'll stop there, and Daniela, I'll hand over to you to talk a bit more through implementation. Let me just pull up your slides.
Thank you, Micah. Hi, everyone. So we're going to touch base on implementation. So balancing speed and quality. We'll just go to the next slide. So the way that we approach implementation at a high level is typically in these 3 stages. The first stage is your talent community build. And so what we do is we get you to fill out an implementation survey. We look at the results. We also ask for branding to actually build that talent community for you. We hold a discovery workshop, and the purpose of these workshops is to really understand your end-to-end recruitment process. We primarily focus on what you would like your recruitment process to look like with LiveHire being embedded within your business. And then we also focus on compiling a database to invite to the talent community. So if you have an existing platform, ATS platform, or even if you have candidates that you've been talent pooling manually, what we do is we like to compile that database and invite them to the LiveHire talent community. We do that slightly just after go live, and that's so that you can get a head start on having a good foundation for your talent community. The second stage of our implementation focuses on configuration. Now, our configuration approach, if you have LiveHire as a standalone product, we obviously will focus on the basics. So we'll go through your recruitment statuses, your job details, your application templates. We'll set up any kind of job listing widgets that need to be set up. If you have multiple brands within the business that you'd like represented, we set them up as brand segments. We look at any integrations, so whether that's for video interviewing, checks and assessments, whatever it may be. We also look at LiveHire journeys, if that's something you opt in for, and that's really just to make the user experience, especially for the hiring managers, a lot easier to understand. It's kind of like a wizard of a step-by-step process within the platform. And we then focus on user acceptance testing and then production build. Now, one thing I'll note with config, if you have a HCM platform currently that you're thinking about integrating LiveHire with, or if you have a future state HCM platform like a SuccessFactors that might come down the pipeline in 1, 2, or 3 years' time, we do try and tailor the configuration in LiveHire to adapt to that integration. However, that being said, it is malleable, and when we get to that stage, we kind of are open to changing a lot of the config, and that does tend to happen anyway. And then our third stage of implementation is around client configuration. So once I've built out your production environment, I hand it over to you. And then obviously I give you instructions on how to set up your system users, how to set up any job templates, your talent pools, your message templates. And then if you opt in for offer management, which is the contract module within LiveHire, and then obviously how to set up your agencies. We also focus on analytics and reporting. And then once we're live, we launch your talent community invitations. So we'll go to the next slide. Now, during implementation, we do have a project management tool that I personally am quite a fan of. It's called Asana. And the reason I'm a fan is it enables me to actually invite external people to the actual project plan. So the reason why we use Asana, we break it down in phases, and we'll go through those phases shortly. Well, I'm able to kind of allocate tasks to clients or people within your organization. We can collaborate within the tool. So if you want to leave me a comment or ask me a question, I'll get a notification and vice versa. And then it also gives you the ability to kind of attach documents as well if need be. And so this allows us to really stay on time and on track, and hopefully within budget as well. So over to the next slide, we've got a more detailed project plan. And although it is quite high level, it doesn't look as detailed as what you typically see in the Asana project plan. This is kind of highlighting the phases that we go through. Now, an implementation of the LiveHire platform can take anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. It can take longer. It really depends on the speed to adoption within your organization and your obviously capability to dedicate to the implementation. We know that everyone typically has day jobs. But just to kind of highlight the phases that we go through, the first phase is solution finalization, and that's where you do your contract signing. You work with Andy typically, and then Andy and the sales team will hand over to myself. What I will then do through the initiation phase is baseline the project plan, and we hold a kickoff meeting where I introduce how we actually run implementation. We hold a discovery workshop, and I kind of talk through that already, but that's where we really try and understand your current with a view to future using the LiveHire platform. Then I go ahead and set up your talent community once I've received all of your branding, and that gets sent your way for final approval. And then we focus on the develop and test phase. And even though it doesn't look like it, this actually is probably one of the bigger phases within implementation. In this phase, we focus on your configuration. So we have something called a LiveHire workbook, and it's your technical workbook. It's something that you actually take with you through the life of your engagement using LiveHire, and it continuously gets updated. So in that workbook, we capture all of your requirements from what you need in your job requisition to any bespoke application questions, to your offer cards, your recruitment workflow, all of your statuses, and also all your pick list data. So all of your drop down list data, we capture it all within this technical workbook. And then what I do is I would configure that within a test environment and then hand it over to you to do some user acceptance testing. Now, you are set up for success. We do have UAT scripts and instructions on how to do user acceptance testing. And once you've signed off on that and you're happy, we've kind of done all the defect resolutions, made any changes, I go ahead and build the environment within the production. Now, whilst I'm doing the production build, typically we'll also hold training. So the way that we hold training is we allocate a time to actually train the resources within your business that will be the primary users of the platform. And so training is end to end. We go through the start of the process all the way to the end, and then also showing all the features that the user might not necessarily be aware of. Whilst I'm doing production build as well, I go ahead and do some integration setup. So that's how I set up your integrations. If you're opting in for a third-party integration with whether it's checks, interview, video interview, whatever it may be. And then I hand it back over to you, and then you do your client-led configuration. And that's where you go ahead and you set up all of those templates we previously spoke about. Then we go live. So we go live with the business. We obviously we encourage communication as we go through implementation. There's a constant reminder to ensure that you're communicating to your business how we're progressing through the project, the changes that are coming into the business, and what your go live date may be. And then after go live, we do a talent community launch, and that's where we invite all of those past applicants that you've provided to us. We invite them to your talent community. And finally, we go into the review and close phase. And through this phase, I typically do project closure, and then I hand you over to your account manager within LiveHire, and then you proceed into your BAU practice. So I think I'm handing back over to Andy to show you a video.
Sorry, I was just talking to myself. All good and well listening to Daniela, but even better when you can hear what the clients think of the implementation process. So again, earlier this week, I caught up with one of our clients, Fiona over at Pit and Sherry, who's very recently just gone live, and just wanted to get her feedback on the process.
How did we manage it? Well, first of all, we obviously started with sort of the recruitment process that we had in mind. I mean, we worked really closely with Daniela from LiveHire in terms of sort of planning out what, you know, the sort of weeks would look like over the implementation phase, and what we needed to sort of think about in terms of different stakeholders that, you know, might need to be involved, or bits of the process that we kind of needed to review. But it was pretty straightforward because obviously we had the workbook that you guys provided to us. And each week we would just kind of work through, you know, whatever sort of relevant point of implementation we were up to. So whether it was sort of thinking about the requisition or, you know, what our interview process would look like. And then, so we'd sort of map it out and then work with Daniela in terms of how to then build it out in LiveHire.
Fantastic. And then last one, how long did it take, implementation?
How long did it take? I think we started around April. Oh, look, I think it was about 8 weeks. Did I, that your question though around, what was it? How did we go about
The implementation?
yeah, that really, like, because I just thought, well, Daniela rocked up and she told us what we needed to do. But I was like,
That's I had to leave the blueprint there because it was true, Danielle. So hopefully that's brought it to life a bit more for you all here. That's all we've got. I think it's time for Q&A, Karen.
Yes. Ready for some questions, everyone? Here's a good one for Micah, I think. What integrations do clients typically use with LiveHire?
It really varies, but the one I think that comes up in almost every implementation we do or clients use is definitely a reference or background check provider. We have lots of them that are out of the box, as we call it already, pre-integrated integrations that clients can use. Some that we mentioned in the show before include Referoo, XREF, CV Check, Fit to Work. Yeah, there's many out of the box and many that are still being built on as well. I think as part of the follow-up, we can definitely share some more information on our current, I guess, ecosystem, as we call it, of integrations that we have available out of the box. And then often towards the end of the process as well, we see, you know, integrations into HRISs or payroll to really reduce some of that manual friction of having to re-enter information on candidates and job offers, etc., that you have already gotten in the recruitment process, and just streamline that through an API integration to the final destination of the employee.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Micah. Next one is, can the analytics section be tailored to retrieve specific data from success factors?
Who wants to answer that? Me? All right.
Well,
Daniela?
yeah, look, the analytics section is obviously, it captures the information that we have in LiveHire. The integration with success factors, it allows you to still utilize the analytics dashboard within LiveHire, but also obviously leverage the reporting within success factors as well. So to answer your question, yes, you can leverage that. The way the integration works is typically the requisitions get raised in success factors. They come through into LiveHire. Once they're in LiveHire, candidate applies for the role. They fill out the application. So we obviously have to use the SF application question template, etc. They fill out an application. That application gets fed back into success factors. And then what happens through that process is the statuses actually have a two-way sync. So every time the statuses change, whether it's in success factors or in LiveHire, the statuses do get updated. So that front end, that communication, the requisition, the candidate engagement piece stays in LiveHire. So that is what is reportable. And as long as the statuses get updated, that is also what's reportable and available in the analytics dashboard. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you for that. So yes, now's the time to pop your questions in if you've got any more. The last one I have here is, how do you support clients with change management?
That's a really good question. I might jump in on that. So LiveHire can provide an end-to-end change management service. So our approach is probably closest to the ad card change management model, which is, you know, your awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. So our service incorporates, we develop a change impact assessment to identify the stakeholders within your business that will interface with the LiveHire platform. We also develop a communication plan and content that suits the tone of your organization. Now, this plan is typically designed to reinforce the need for change and also ensure higher levels of engagement are achieved as you introduce LiveHire. And it's also critical to address change resistance. So change management, the service that we offer, also incorporates training. This service includes the development of a training plan and schedule, and that's with the view to train all the stakeholders or applicable stakeholders within your business. And our training approach varies, so it's usually in consultation with our clients. However, our recommendation is to try and make it as interactive as possible. And finally, with our change management model, we kind of wrap up our change management approach by analysing the uptake of utilisation of the platform. We gather feedback and we understand whether there are any gaps that we need to fill. So we do offer that service. During a standard implementation of LiveHire without engaging in that change management service, it's typically me reminding you, this is what you need to do. Have you prepared to train your stakeholders? You know, and we do capture that within the project plan as much as we can.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniela. And that's about it. If no one's got any more questions, we'll close up. I'll just give you a second or two to put them through while I remind you there'll be a survey as you exit the webinar today. Please take the time to fill it out and give us some feedback on what you'd like to see in the future. And of course, if you'd like to know more about LiveHire or see a demonstration, there's a box there to tick and we'll be in touch with you today to answer any questions you have. Okay then. Well, Andy, did you have anything else or anyone else have anything they wanted to say?
Just another one's popped up. I think we can answer this one as well around the interview process. Lucille has put this one through. Mike, I think might be worth even showing our interview piece and talking through this, but does it integrate with Outlook? Can it self-select time slots and receive confirmation? Can scheduling include panels and rooms? I'll start talking to it, but we do have a few different options for interview scheduling. One of those being sending a calendar invitation via an ICS file, which will obviously go into an Outlook email client. If you're using Outlook, you probably have Microsoft 365. They have a great tool called Microsoft Bookings, which does allow for self-selecting of interview times, and you can include those links within your schedule an event. So we're currently looking at send an invite. There's also the ability to schedule an event where you would include that self-select booking link option. And then finally, we can also, if you've text message people, because it's all two-way text messaging, you've maybe phone called a candidate and you've already organised a time in your calendar, we can book a time in just as a record so that you've got a tracking of that within LiveHire in your LiveHire calendar.
And I think, Andy, to add to that, to bring it back to the example you gave before from Telstra Health, they use, part of this as well, but they schedule it all through EV AI, which is a AI scheduling interview tool. So if you really wanted to take that scheduling to the next level, it actually reaches out to the different stakeholders to arrange the interview. So it's even more than a self-schedule experience for candidates, and layer that on top with the way you can set it up in LiveHire. It's definitely created a lot of efficiencies for them.
And yes, you can, as long as the booking rooms have an email address, and most of the time they do, you can add guests to the booking. So you are able to actually send that invite to rooms as well.
Perfect.
Lots of different ways, and we can always go in a more in-depth demo. Today, of course, it's just been a high level just to see, what a potential solution would look like, how it can interact with all the different systems, and really to give you some comfort around, the robust ATS capabilities as well. But absolutely, we can go into an in-depth demo and really tailor that to your questions and what you're looking for.
Perfect. Well, if there's nothing else, anyone, I will thank you all for your time. Thank you for attending today's session, and feel free to reach out if we can help you with anything. Thanks, panel, Andy, Micah, and Daniela.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.